remember that name when you voted on Bradbury. All right, we're going to keep this show rolling. By the way, I want to tell Jerry to be all ready and to be on deck. That's what's cool about this, because when comics are back there, they're always wondering where they're going to be. And we always surprise them here at the Laugh-In Comedy Cafe. So, Jerry, you are on deck. And right now, please welcome your next comedian. His name is Jim Barber, everybody. Give him a big round of applause.
There you go. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for the applause. Makes me feel at home. I, too, have been watching the Olympics, and like everybody else, I was kind of worried whether or not they were going to come off, because a couple of weeks ago I was reading a newspaper article, and they were talking about all the concerns they had with the host city. Dirty water, the beaches were closed because of E. coli, they had the threat of Zika, crime is out of control. Hell, for a while I thought they were going to host it right here in Fort Myers. But I was really surprised that the International Olympic Committee, this is a true story, they gave each athlete 42 condoms when they arrived for the games, which makes you wonder, when in the hell do they ever have time to compete? But I think I've come to a conclusion. That's why they run so fast and swim so fast. They want to get back to the Olympic Village, to that international orgy, nonstop, going on 24 hours a day. You can swim and run fast too. Speaking of Zika, that's on everybody's mind. That's the headlines on the news all the time. And I was watching the other day, and the health experts were talking about, they think that Zika is the biggest threat to women of childbearing age since Jim Bob Duggar was single looking for a wife. And the Centers for Disease Control have come out, and they have decided that this risk of sexual transmission of Zika is very serious. In fact, they're encouraging men who visit an infected area to abstain from sex for 6 months when they get home. And the CDC said this would also be good practice for single men, so they'll see what married life is like. Where do they name these diseases anymore, for God's sakes? It's dengue fever, Ebola, chikungunya, Zika. I mean, hell, if I had one of these diseases, I wouldn't be as worried about the effects of the illness as I would just telling people I had it. But it is important, if you're going to be outside, and use some kind of mosquito repellent. And take it from me, I made a mistake. It's DEET, not fleet. DEET is what you want to ask them for. What else is going on? Well, school started. Today was the first day of school. I had a kid lives across the street from me, and he was a freshman. And I was standing there this morning watching the bus pick him up for the first time. And I was just going through my head thinking, gosh, he has no idea what awaits him when he gets to high school for his first day. There's a room at school, and there's going to be some older, sex-starved females, attractive. They're going to be eyeing every freshman boy as he comes through the front door, staking out their next sexual conquest. I'm talking about the teacher's lounge. But remind me of my own first day of high school, which wasn't a pretty affair. I wore glasses, I had braces, and I had acne so bad. Today, these kids don't even know what acne is. They've got all these new drugs. When I was growing up, if you had acne, it was bad. And mine was really bad. My dad was real tight. He wouldn't take me to a doctor or anything, He said I'd outgrow it by the time I was 35 or 40. And he did one thing for me, though. If we ever had to go any place really important, he had a friend who was a funeral director. And he would drop me off at this guy's funeral home, and I'd lay down on the slab, and this guy would take this putty knife, and, he would work on my face, for like an hour, and he never charged anything. Because he said it was good practice for when he had a victim of a gunshot wound to the face. Speaking of school, though, I've got my own class reunion coming up this year, and this is a big one. And, I don't think I've changed much since high school. Maybe a few more pounds, a little less hair. Of course, minus the chronic masturbation habit. It's like diabetes. You never get over it. You just learn how to control it. And of course, with that masturbation habit, it all starts when you're an adolescent and you start your first porn collection. Now, young people today, they have no idea how good they have it. Now, these young guys today, they are on your cell phone. Now, all the porn ever made, it's right there, Video, photos. When I was growing up a long time ago in a little small town in Ohio, there was no internet, no cell phones. There wasn't even video at that time. There was film, but a projector, a small one, would be the size of like a dorm room refrigerator. And it would cost you'd have to deliver newspapers for 2 years to afford them. Trust me, I did the math. So at that time, porn came in the form of magazines. And magazines, this was very important when you were 12 years old. This was very sacred, your porn collection. And you always started out with a few under the mattress. That was, where everything started at. And magazines take up a lot of space, so eventually, you're stuffing them behind the Encyclopedia Britannica. Within about 6 months, I was tearing the carpet out of the closet in my bedroom. And the collection just kept growing and growing out of control, and finally got to the point where I was mowing yards and working weekends at a supermarket so I could afford a self-storage facility. This inventory management crisis like you've never seen before in your life. I was a nervous wreck. I wanted to get rid of them, but I couldn't, because it was porn. Hey, thanks very much.
Jim Barber, everybody, come on!
Jim, on your, let me see, who's on deck here? Eli. Eli is on deck, but right now your next comedian coming to the stage. Please welcome, and I hope I say this right, Jerry.
Huh?
Jerry Belich. I hope. Jerry, everybody, give it up for Jerry, everybody.
Hey, what do you think?
It was good. It was better last time. This one was better.
Huh?
This one was better.
All right, he actually did get it right. How many people usually get that right? They look at my name and they just